Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Deborah, aka the Sunset Girl Creates, and today is Tuesday and it's our Come Cross Stitch with Me day. So we're going to be working on our gold collection from Dimensions, and we're working on this ornament. We're just finishing up the roof line right here. And then we'll go back and finish the darker grays onto the roof. So right now we're sitting here and we have our stand here that I got from Amazon. I did get this kit from Amazon. It is down below. Dimensions has a whole store on Amazon, so you can go on Amazon and look at their patterns and their kits that they have there. Today, our article that we'll be reading is Top 10 Stitching Tools, What a Professional Designer Uses, and this is from Peacock and Fig. So I'm going to adjust just a little bit. There we go. And I am working on this area, and I have 23 stitches to do, so we're just going to go up here, and we're going to start stitching and start chatting and seeing what's going on in the world today. So really, I wanted to chat about the channel. I've been doing some research and thinking about ways to really get my channel to where I want it to go. I don't know that I truly want it to be I'm not going to say that I don't want to monetize, because if I say I don't want to monetize, that means I'm going to not have anything to monetize, obviously. But I do want to make my channel a success, right? And so it's going to mean that we need to grow our channel. So I've been doing some research on growing the channel. And I think what I'm going to do is we have our Tuesday Come Cross Stitch with Me, Wednesdays Come Silhouette with Me, Thursdays Come Diamond Paint with Me, and Friday is Come Knit or Crochet with Me. And those are 4 set days that I want you guys to know that on those 4 days you will always have a video, okay? Because they're set days, and if we set another day, we do another day, then that day will stay that day, okay? Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are my days. If I want to tape for those days, record for those days, I will. If I choose not to, I won't. So I want you guys to get used to the 4 days, and then if there's a chance I feel good and that kind of stuff, I'm going to do that. I'm also going to be working on getting I can't remember what I was going to say. That's irritating. It'll come back to me in a minute. Anyways, I want to grow the channel, so I want to make sure that there's 4 days that you guys will always see me. That you will be guaranteed videos for those 4 days. Unless I come on and say otherwise. So you will get these 4 videos, and I'm sure as time goes by, you'll start seeing more videos available to you. And so I just want everybody to just kind of know that it's going to be okay, and that I haven't gone anywhere if you don't see videos on those days. I am going to be working in the background, working on some different projects that I have in mind for the channel. I don't want to say anything until they've come to volition. So let me do a quick count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, we're on 12. Okay. That means we got 11 more to go. And so I just want you guys to know what's going on and what's upcoming for the channel. So I'll label this one channel news, channel update, and then with as well as our whip and chat for our come cross stitch with me. I think it's this one's going really well. Haven't had much time to work on it. I finished those socks and I started a new project. I did pull out one of my sweaters and I tried it on, and I have to frog back at least 4 rows. I'm trying to decide if I want to shorten the sleeve or if I want to make it longer because it ends right at my elbow. So I needed to either go down another couple inches or I need to shorten it an inch more. So I'm trying to decide which one I want to do. So it's in timeout till I make a decision on which one I want to do. I'm just kind of glancing at where the end of this is in proportion up here. So basically I should just be 1 stitch on the other side of that roof line there. So that's where I like to kind of find a way on my pattern that I can kind of come down on the pattern and see where the last one was and where my final one for this is. So then I've got a way to judge when I'm close to the 23. So that's all I was trying to figure out. When you're counting and you're doing counted cross stitch, you really want to try to ensure that you're looking for where that end is going to match up within your pattern. So I know I should be 1 stitch on the other side of that. So my 23 should end here. That means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more stitches plus this one, okay? And so I know that's where it should end. And then I can do my count to make sure that it is counted at 23. So that's a little trick that I've learned through the years. When it comes to counted cross stitch, you really just want to make sure that everything lines up and that they match up on your pattern, on your cross stitch to what's in the pattern, okay? And so as we go along, I will give you different tips and tricks that I've learned through the years. And one of the things that I've learned and I found works really well for me, and it ensures that I have consistent crosses, right, is I always do 1 leg through the full line and then I'll bring it back, okay? That way I'm ensuring that I am getting a consistent cross, right? Because all of these are consistent. You can look at it. You can see the consistency across the board, right? On those first crosses. And then I'll do the same going back the other direction, right? And so that's kind of how I kind of figure out and lay out where my stitches are going to go and how many I need to do. I will count my pattern. I use the 10 mark on my pattern. There's always, you have the light gray on a graph paper, and then you always have darker lines dividing out by 10s, okay? Unless you get some special graph paper, and there are different graph papers that don't do it by 10. Some of them do it by 20 because they're smaller, or some of them do it by 5 because they're really big. So it's really just, but the standard is 10. And if you count any of your patterns in cross stitch, they're always based on a 10 count. So if you look for those lines, it will help you make a longer count. So I have a long length. Obviously there's 23 stitches and it's really small. The pattern's just as small as the picture, okay? It's actually, yeah, it's a little bit bigger than the picture, but not much, okay? And so that's really just trying to make sure that things line up. Because if you're counting and they don't line up, then you know that something's off somewhere and you have to figure out where it's off, okay? I'm going to move this over a little bit because I saw I was going off camera. So I moved it over so that you can see the end of the string that we're working on, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead, and as we cross stitch, I'm kind of going to go through and read a few lines in here. So the top 10 stitching tools, what a professional designer uses, and it's by Dana Batho on July 2nd, 2019, and she had 37 comments on this one, okay? So it can be tricky when you start your first start stitching. There are so many options for materials and supplies. It's easy to get overwhelmed and not know what works best for you. Of course, any stitcher would tell you to just try things out and see what you like best, as there definitely isn't one size fits all solution for every stitcher. So it's kind of like any craft and anything in life. If you can never make something that says one size fits all, because it's not going to fit all, right? One size is not going to fit everybody in this planet, right? So that's really not true. We can't really say that that is the case, correct? So I'm getting ready to put the last of these stitches in, and before we start the backward cross, I am going to double count, because I am on that row right after there, so this should be my 23rd. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, and we're right on the mark. Okay, so I just want to double check my line on my canvas. So on my pattern, I am going to make sure that I am for sure that that's where that goes, and yes, it does. Okay, we are good. Now we can start our crosses back, okay? And I just want to count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's usually easier with the needle. Let me do it with the needle. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay. Yeah, we're right. So it's kind of like the old saying goes, when you're preparing something to cut, right? Measure twice, cut once. It's always best to double check your work to ensure that it is what it's supposed to be, okay? And I see I counted that cross when I wasn't supposed to, so I do know that my count was right. So let's keep going. But I've been asked over the years what I use personally when stitching up projects. whether my own designs or projects just for fun. So I've come up with a roundup of my top 10 stitching tools. I hope you get inspired to try some new things, and maybe you'll find a new must-have stitching tool that will make your stitching so much more fun and enjoyable. Disclosure. Please note that some links in this post are affiliated links, and if you go through them to make a purchase, she earns a commission, such as from Amazon. Keep in mind that I link these companies and their products because of their quality and not because of the commission I receive from their purchases. I would never recommend something I wouldn't use myself. So there was a reason I read that, and it's not because you're not reading the article and you're not going to be able to click on the links. But the reason that I wanted to make sure that you understood what that meant was, and it's kind of the way my philosophy is too, I will never tell you that I like something or recommend something to you that I don't personally like. If I don't personally like something, I cannot sell it to you, right? So I'm not going to include it in anything that I wouldn't do for myself, okay? And so that's kind of where you really need to think about when you're reading these articles, and it says that they have affiliate links. Do they also say that they won't recommend something that they don't believe in? Because that's the whole thing. That's my biggest fear about becoming a big channel, is having these diamond painting clubs painting companies that I don't know if they are above board, right? I'm not going to show you a company that I don't believe in, that I don't think are telling the truth, that aren't honest, okay? And so you can know that whenever you see anything on my channel, and if I tell you about something on my channel, it's because I've tried it, I've done it, and I believe in it. It's just like I wouldn't do a Dimensions Gold collection if I didn't know about dimensions, okay? When I first started cross-stitching, that's what I learned on, was dimensions. So I recommend dimensions 100% on their kits. And it doesn't matter if you're used to doing kits that you get the pattern and you get your own floss and all that, or you can just buy a kit. You know, I don't mind buying kits sometimes. I don't always have to go searching for somebody's pattern. And it's not because I don't want to support that small business, because trust me, I love supporting small businesses. I will go to a small business and support them if I believe in them before I'd go to any chain stores, right? So that's and I'm the type of person that if I don't like something, I won't go, right? Exactly. So, I just thought about this. I was telling you about the wing house that I was taking my husband to for his birthday, and I told you it had been torn down, and they rebuilt it, right? They did it during the corona, right? And so when here in Florida they had all the restaurants shut down, they decided it was the perfect time to do a full building remodel. So they rebuilt the whole building, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like them or not, or if I was going to be happy with the new layout or anything. They're just as good as they were before. Their sandwiches that I was telling you about, their chicken, I ended up getting one. Their buffalo chicken sandwich. Yeah, I got one of those. And it was good. I still have a little bit left. And the nice thing is, whatever their sauce is, whatever their rubs is, you can have them put on your chicken. So I always have them put on their Dallas barbecue sauce. It is their special blend. It is sweet and it's tangy and it's got just a little bit of a backbite on it, which is what I like most about them. Okay, so let's see what kind of tools, stitching tools, are on this list. So the first one is needles. Okay, everyone has different tastes in cross-stitch and embroidery needles, and sometimes you need different needles for different tasks. For example, I often use a size 22 or 24 tapestry needle when working with metallic threads. The extra width from the needle means there's less friction between the fabric and the threads, so less fraying and shredding, tension, etc. But from my workhouse needles I constantly use, here is what I use. Tapestry 1, the Easy Guide needle. I love these needles. They are being sold by Sullivan's. The slender shaft means there's far less friction between the needle and the fabric, and the German steel doesn't tarnish nearly as easy as every other tapestry needle I've tried. I've used the same needle daily for about 3 months, and it is barely showing any wear from where I hold it, compared to within a week from other needles. The combination of the ball tip and the slender shaft is almost like a tapestry needle, and a sewing needle had a baby. The ball tip pushes aside the fabric and floss just like a regular tapestry needle does. Do note the eye of these needles is more similar to an embroidery needle than a chunky tapestry needle. Okay, so number 2. Embroidery. Our clover embroidery needle size 3 to 9. She says, I have a huge variety of embroidery needles I've collected over the years, from John James to Bowen. I do like these clover needles though. The gold eye seems to be easier for me to thread, and they're just pretty. I've also reserved some other types of cross-stitch needles here, so you can click there if you want. It is another article, we may go to that. Such as a super cool needle I use for beading. So that looks like that's one she uses for beading. So then she has a needle threader. So let's talk about, I don't have a lot to talk about needles because I never really researched embroidery and tapestry needles, so I don't have a lot of information on that. I just know that I gravitate to certain needles, and when I go to the store, I can tell by looking at the needle section which needles it is that I gravitate to, and sometimes I do try new needles to see if I can find a better needle, and I always go back to the same ones. I get DMC Tapestry Needles. I've got them right here. These are the type of needles that I gravitate to. DMC 8 to 22. Okay, and they've got the sharp end. They're the chenilles. And these are my favorite tapestry needles, okay? So that's what I actually use. They're nickel-coated steel, and I seem to have pretty good luck with them. However, I'm not using that for this project. When I do get a kit, I typically like to use the needles they provide. And the needle that I'm actually using is really a fantastic needle. I'm enjoying using it. I'm enjoying cross-stitching with it. And I think I'm just going to keep cross-stitching today. I did finish one section. The section that I was working on, the diamond painting. Oh, and the bright colors. It's so beautiful. I'm just sitting here looking at it, and it's just gorgeous. I see 3 popping up. A trick you can do is put your diamond painting up to your eye level, and you'll be able to see if you have any diamonds that may not have laid flat when you diamond painted it. So you can actually see them and go and fix them. Only because I remember that, because I don't remember it very often, because usually I do it when I'm sitting in my couch and it's almost a subconscious kind of thing. And so that was just a quick tip on that. So let's see what kind of needle threader. So low-ran needle threader, okay, is the one that she's talking about. And let me just do a quick... I don't often use a needle threader these days. I usually thread by hand, but this was my favorite needle threader. I trailed this needle thread. I trialed this needle threader review post. Oh, it's my favorite threader I trialed in the needle threader review post. So she did a whole review on needle threaders, and this is the one that she liked the best. You can thread most tapestry needles and many embroidery needles with the double-ended low-ran threader, and it's sturdy. It's super sturdy, and it's good for the bang for your buck. It's good bang for your buck. So in other words, it's a good price for the product that you're receiving. So sometimes you have to think about it when you go look at products, and you might be looking on the shelf and thinking, well, that needle threader might be more because it costs 50 cents more than the other. It may just be because somebody decided to do it like that. So people like you would think because it's 50 cents more, it's a better needle threader. So needle threaders are really just a personal thing. I personally prefer hand threading, and I will try every time I can. However, it's harder and harder for me to thread that needle. So I am more and more careful, and I use a needle threader more often. Some of them are coming very fancy. And I see this is starting to get really close, and I just want to make sure that I trim this. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing is, because if I trim it down to match what the other one is, I don't actually think I have that much thread there. So now I can actually see when my thread's going to come out of my needle, and I'm not going to just lose one of the two threads, okay? It's important to make sure that when you're cross stitching and you're getting to the very end of your cross stitch, so you're here and you're putting in this cross stitch right here, right? You just want to be careful when you pull it through to make sure you grasp it, so you're grasping all of those ends when you're coming through. I am going to finish off this thread at the end of this one, and I will start a new thread. So I will just drop this thread for now, and I'll come back and put it through once I'm done cross stitching, okay? So that row is done. We're just going to drop it, and I'm going to put that on my needle minder. And let me get another piece of our gray. We have one more section we have to put down here. We will have to put down here because we still have to do this section here. So we do have one more row that will take us to almost the same spot as the other, and then we have some dropping down. So it is a fun trip coming. This would be the last of this gray that we'll be doing for now. Once I'm done with this last row here, we will go to the next symbol. And so that means we will pull out the next color of thread, okay? I'm trying to get this yarn all put together, and I'm just kind of getting it ready so I can thread. And I wish I had my other threader, because I have another threader I'd love to show you guys. I think it's my DMC threader. It's actually really pretty cool. My needle did not want to come off, and now it went sliding somewhere. Needle's lost. Great. Okay. That didn't work out in my favor. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause for a minute. Find my needle. Be back. Okay, I got it all figured out. I'd gone up on the row above. It was the wrong spot. So now we're all set, and we've got 22 stitches to do here. Okay, so embroidery threads, number 4. DMC collector tins with 35 colors of floss. Okay. So I was so excited when DMC introduced the new 35 colors in their range, and I was actually sent a set to design, and even before they were announced to the public, I was super pumped. So she got these before they were announced to the public to do a design with. So they are such lovely colors and filled in some gaps in DMC's range up to that point. Such a gorgeous range of rich purples and plums and really beautiful shades of lime green and lemon yellows. Plus the collector's tin is just stunning. It's like a stitchy treasure. It is a pretty tin. It is a nice pretty tin. Okay. Now, cross-stitch fabric. Fabric. Well, you can't do cross-stitch without fabric, right? So you have to have some kind of fabric. So many stitchers end up with a massive stash of fabric over the years, and many end up with several favorites. I have a couple of favorites depending on what I'm working on. So it really depends on what she's working on what her favorites are. But number 5 is the Ada Fiddler's Cloth Oatmeal Ada. For Ada, I really like the Fiddler's Cloth, an oatmeal Ada that sometimes has flecks in it. For me, it gets nice and soft in my hands as I'm working with it. It has a lovely rustic feel to it. It goes with most patterns, and it's a nice neutral color, but gives the finished project a bit of vintage vibe. And that's what this color is. So it's like a cream oatmeal color. She also has number 6, linen, Zygarde, 28 Cagel linen. For linen, I've been using a lot of Zaglar's 28 count casual linen. I often use antique white, shown in buttercream. I find white slightly softer than regular white, and it stitches up beautifully. So Zygarde was amazing, has amazing fabrics that are high quality, and they're very soft in your hands to stitch with. Okay, that word really gets me. It's hard for me to pronounce. I admit it. I'm not very good at pronouncing that. And my grandmother was here. She'd be like, what is the proper pronunciation of that word? So that became something that always bothered me when I couldn't figure out how to pronounce a word or how to read a word properly. And now that I've got issues with remembering and memory and just issues alone with that kind of stuff, it really makes it kind of hard to concentrate at times, right? Because it gets frustrating. I have to think and I have to think, and all of a sudden the thought, I might be saying something and the thought just drops completely from my mind. It's gone. It disappears. I don't know what happened. And so part of doing this channel allows me to continue with my speaking and continue practicing and continue working to make sure that my brain is processing correctly. Okay, so it does take me longer sometimes to get into projects. It takes me longer to do things. So that's why we are pulling back to only doing the 4 videos a week for now, is so during the other 3 days, I can be doing things to prepare for videos, be ready for videos. I want to get to where I'm about a week out is where I'm trying to get. So this being Monday, I'm doing Tuesday's video, okay? I want to have it be Monday and I'm doing next Tuesday's video. So I'm doing about a week ahead, right? So that way, when it comes time for you to have a video and then it be uploaded at the correct time and it's always there and it's consistent. And so right now, there's not as much consistency as I'd like. And I think I'm doing too many videos in a week. So having those 3 days off will help me make sure I have time to get those videos done and up and processed, and because it takes time. You have to edit it, you have to build the video, you have to edit the video, make sure the video's good, then you have to, you know, extract that video, then you have to upload that video, and then you have to wait for YouTube to get done, and then once YouTube processes, uploads and processes again, then you can go in and do the final updates to your project. Okay, so let's continue on to the next section, and that's scissors. Number 7, Gingham, sorry, and it's not Ginger, it's Gingham. It is Gingham embroidery scissors. If you're anything like me, you likely have quite the collection of embroidery scissors, and I do. It's depending on the project. There's scissors in every one of my project bags. This project bag has my flamingo scissors in them, okay? I also have the smaller scissors. So I have probably about 6 pairs of various sizes, including a new pair I just got for gold work embroidery, and I love them all. Some I bought purely for their looks, as they're so pretty and elegant, but if you're looking for a pair of elegant yet awesome scissors, I would highly recommend the Gingham scissors. Are those... I don't know. I'm messing up all the words today. I am really sorry. They're super pretty with often seen stork design, but they're also very functional and very sharp. They're on my wish list for the next time I need to buy a new pair, but I recommend them as I've seen them over and over again whenever somebody in a stitchy group asks for scissors recommendations. You can see people screaming Gingham over and over and over. So, and I do. I have like 5 pairs of the Gingham scissors myself. They are the stork style. And like I said, I use them not only for embroidery, but I also use them for my knitting and crocheting. You can get really nice cuts, especially if you're like working with socks and you've put you're done and you're weaving in your ends. Those scissors are great to snip off those ends, okay? So I always have that's why I have so many of them, because they're always sharp. I'm usually using the I'm usually using my fingering yarn, so I'm using just a thicker version of floss, basically, okay? But those are specifically yarn. They were bought and they are only used for yarn. These were specifically bought for embroidery or cross stitch, so they only get used for cross stitch. So it's your own choice, but you know, when I have a pair of scissors, don't you be touching my scissors unless you know that they're scissors I give you okay to. My husband's almost had his hand broken because he tried to get into my fabric scissors. I don't cut a lot of fabric all the time, but when I do cut fabric, like I like to cut fabric to put on the backings of my cross stitches. I make a lot of pillows, so I need fabric to do that. So I need to have my scissors to cut that fabric, okay? That's the only thing is I highly recommend scissors, and you really need sharp scissors. Okay, so there's a stitching stand, okay? And it's the Lowry stand. As many of my readers know, I was hurt in the military years ago and still suffer with chronic pain and some mobility issues in my upper body. I trialed so many stitching stands and frames, and they were okay, but still not quite right for me, as I have to stitch reclined with heat on my neck. And then I discovered the Lowry stand. I was in love. Not only is the stand really low profile, meaning you can just swing it out of the way when you're not using it, you can also get extra wide L-bar pictured above in case the arm of your chair or couch is quite wide and you just want to have options. There are also all sorts of little gadgets you can hook onto your Lowry stand, such as a pattern holder. They are very well made and sturdy and ideal if you have mobility issues and have a hard time with gigantic heavy floor stands or chunky lap stands that take up a lot of space. The clamp can hang onto anything from a hoop to a Q-snap style frame to even a scroll bar frame. So it does hold the scroll bar frames. If you're using a longer scroll bar frame with it, you may need to put weights on the base so that the stand doesn't tip from being too off balance, and maybe prop up the other end of the scroll frame like a sewing box sitting next to you. The Lowry stand has made it so much easier for me to work in almost any position, as you can adjust the angle, the clamp is holding at the height of the L-bar. I love it. It's also super easy to flip your project over to get to the back. You just flip the locking lever. Super simple to do. Even I have no problems with it. I purchased my Lowry stand from so and so in the UK, and they recently shut down. So you can also get the stand directly from Lowry's, or also from Stitching Paradise in the US. Also note, if you're going to buy the extra wide L-bar as well, make sure the frame and the bar are the same finish. Like I got the powder coated silver gray. I've heard that the different finishes for the extra wide bar will only fit the same finish of Lowry stand, so get the silver gray with the silver gray, etc. And then she just shows a picture of the extra wide L-bar, okay? So then stitching accessories are next. So number 9 is the Floss Bobbin Box, and I have a few of them, obviously with floss in them. I don't have as much as I used to. I used to have almost the full DMC set. However, when I moved from California, they didn't make it into the packing, I guess. So I don't have them any longer. But I have bought a couple, and I'm building up my supply. It will take me time, but I will get it, okay? And it just means that I spend $5 here, and if it's $5 here, and I go to Michael's and pick up some and put them back and add them to my box, right? Keeping a list of what I already have. There are lots of ways of storing your embroidery floss, but for me, I love bobbins, and these plastic bobbin boxes by Doris, I can squeeze over 80 colors into each box. Me too. You can get lots into them, okay? And I find this to be the most compact and efficient way of storing my floss, as I can see through the lids and see all my colors at once. That's the best part, is you can kind of see where you're at and what colors you have in it, so you know about where you're looking. So if you know you're looking for a blue and there's no blue in that box, you don't need to look through that box, right? I also keep my boxes labeled so that I know what numbers are in each box with just a label on top. I don't have them set up that way yet now, but they will be. Okay. Yeah, so I can see through the lids and see all my colors at once. For those who are scared to put their floss onto bobbins because it can eventually get creases if left on for a while, push. Nothing to worry about. Simply running your floss across a slightly damp, clean sponge before stitching will pull those kinks out. And this tip also works well for Krennic floss that is coiled from being wound on the small spools. Okay. And then number 10 is the DMC Real Floss Color Card. So do you have a DMC Floss Color Card? I don't. I used to. I need to get a new one. It doesn't cost much to get one. Obviously, as a designer, I'm constantly needing to compare floss colors to each other. So I use this real card constantly. And this one is, this is the newest edition of the DMC color card. It does contain the newest 35 colors as well, okay? But even if you're not a designer, this card is ridiculously handy if you need to substitute a color and a pattern. So, that DMC card will not only do you good for DMC floss, but it would also help with your DMC diamonds, okay? So if you get diamonds that don't have DMC codes on them, you can effectively match them. I'm trying to thread this needle, sorry. And I can't get it to line up. I got it. Did I get it? Did I get it? Get it? Did I get the second one? I think I got it, girls. There we go. I always say girls because I usually talk to my dogs in the morning, and both my dogs are girls. I had to pull that stitch out because I went across 2 stitches instead of 1. So I had a long cross stitch instead of a short cross stitch. So we're all back on track. So the DMC real color card, okay? If you can't be bothered to go to the store for one color, or if you want to substitute out a section of colors for another, like make a 3-toned red bow in the girl's hair blue. So instead of making it red, you want to make it blue. So just because a color is a certain color in a pattern doesn't mean that you can't use a different color, right? So I wouldn't recommend on like these gold dimension to change out your colors, only because with the gold dimension packs they they are specially dyed just for these kits, so they don't match the DMC codes. So just make sure that if you're going to do that, it is with something that you know you can change it. And if you want to change like the pinks to purples or whatever, you can do that too. It's really up to you. It's your pattern. It's kind of like a diamond painting. You don't always have to keep it exactly the way the designers made it. Like with my Poppies and Steampunk that I'm working on, I'm trying to determine if I want to put black ABs in the eyes so that the inside of the eyes pop, because it looks like the rest of the eyes are the aquas and I don't have aqua, but I could pop it with the black ABs, which I have a whole bunch of. So it's those kind of things, right, that those work out for. If you want to say, okay, if you want more information on substituting out colors, see my DMC color card in action. You can check out this blog post on how to substitute colors in a cross-stitch pattern. So she actually does a whole article on substituting your threads for a different color. Okay, so if you want to change your shades and say you have like a, say, let's take an example, okay? We're going to take this old house, right? And we're looking at this one. Where's it at? Hold on, I got to find the camera. There we go. So we're looking at the one we're working on right now, okay? So say we want to change the color of the house, right? I don't like that pink color. And that pink color consists of one color and then a darker color that outlines it, okay? And so there is a little bit of darker, especially down here on here. So you'd have to have two colors and make sure that you're gathering the colors. So you want the darker color and you want the lighter color. So you kind of want to make sure that they match like that. So that's what that card is good for. So say you want to change that to a blue house instead of a pink house, right? You'd need two blue colors. So you'd need to go find your two blue colors, right? We do have a blue house. I didn't even notice that until after I said that. But, so the point is you can change your colors if you so choose. It's really your choice. And you need to ensure that you're choosing the right colors and that you have the right amount of colors to substitute and that you have the right amount of floss. So if you don't have enough floss in those two colors, then you can't substitute, right? I have no desire to substitute the color of the houses on these. I really like how they've got them. The old peachy pink color is a color from the 1800s. I know that because my mother worked at Bidwell Mansion and it was the same color. And it was color from the 1800s, okay? So I know that that color works and that it is from history. And these are kind of like, they're not current times. These are like the 50s and 60s that these are models off of, right? So, you know, you got to keep that in mind, and when you're looking at it, and it's colors that are familiar from the Victorian period as well, and it almost looks like they're Victorian houses. Now, some of them, like the one I'm doing now, is a Victorian house, so I can see it being that color, right? Because it's Victorian. So you really need to think about it when you're changing colors, because you need to think about what the time period was. Or who cares about the time period and just do it your own color, right? So it really just depends on your preference on how you're going to change out a color. But like I said, and like she said, the best ones is to be able to see them. Okay. So there's a bonus tool and it's lighting, okay? The 11 is the Ott floor lamp. Okay, so I currently have my Ott ring light on. Okay. I also have the big light. So if I turn this big light on, hold on, we're going to have a lot of light here. Okay, so now I have my big Ott light on. And if I want to turn the little one off, that's probably a better shade for us, right? That's actually a better lighting. And I didn't think about doing that until I just heard about that and I flipped that on. And for the camera, that's probably better lighting. I'm getting less shine and less glare. And now all of a sudden there's no more shadow. And I can actually see my canvas. So maybe that was a good thing. So yes, art lights are not cheap. But if you can get if you watch at Hobby Lobby, no, Joann's, I'm sorry. I don't know about any of the other ones because I don't know about their art lights, but I do know that Joann has a whole selection of the art lights, and they occasionally go on sale for about 40% off. So if you watch those sales and you get those sales, you'll be able to get that taken care of for you. Okay? And you can get a cheaper light, right? Because they're not cheap. They're over $100 for a light, okay? I have the one that has the clip, that has the ring light and has the overhead light, and it cost me like $150, okay? They're not cheap, but if you're going to do cross stitch or any kind of craft, especially if it has something to do with color, an art light is important. So the art light is, how do they put it? It is a manufactured sunlight. So in there, it's the same kind of view that you get from sunlight. So if you were to put sunlight on your canvas and you were to cross stitch, you'd have the same kind of light that I'm getting now, right? Where you can see. So I highly, highly, highly recommend, whether you're a knitter, crocheter, cross stitcher, embroidery person, embroiderer, you like to diamond paint, anything like that, and you want to offer the ability to color change, or you want to design something, right? You're going to want to do that in a light where it shows the true colors, okay? So this light really shows you a definition of what the true colors are. So if you're an artist drawing, or if you're a designer, whatever you do, right? If you can afford an art light, I would highly recommend getting one, because they're good. They're better for your eyes, and they allow you to see be able to see the actual colors you're working on. I don't have a different light in my corner, so I can't show you the differences between what an art light is versus what a regular light is, okay? But I can tell you that it makes a big difference on my creativity and what I work on to be able to do that. So, lighting is so important with stitching. And I adore the Art Floor lamp. I got several years ago. It wasn't expensive at all, and the light is perfect and even, and it can swing away from you or bend a little if you really need to get it closer for your stitchy project. Art lights are fantastic in general, and this one is no exception. Want to see more recommendations of stitching materials and tools, including a magnifying lamp, as well as stitchy books? Head to Peacock and Fig Amazon page. So they have their own Amazon page, okay? And then I hope you enjoyed this top 10. Were any of the items new to you, and what's your favorite? Leave a comment below. Okay, and then they have want to get stitching, join the Peacock Lounge to get access to a 15% discount off your first order, exclusive free patterns, And plus, never miss out on new collections and promotions. And then you can put your name and your email in there. Yeah, and so that's the end of our article, and I'm at the end of our second row. And now all I have to do is fill in these last few little spots here that go down. So like you see up here, you have them come down on the roof, the shingles. And these are just like the support bars that come down. So I've got to get those in. Here's the second one over, right? Yes. And so I just have to get these in. So with that said, I want to thank you all for coming. I'm hoping that I'll have more done for you next week. I now have the shawl on the needles, so I will show you that on Friday. That is my project to be working on for a while. I will be going back and forth between the shawl and the blanket, and eventually you will see the sweater come back out. Except this time it is just, I have to get it done, and I just didn't feel like pulling it out the day that my husband and I were chatting about it. So I had tried it on and I was working on it, and it was like, no, it just doesn't work. I tried to talk my husband into it. Yeah, it worked this way, which in reality he was wrong. I was just trying to get a shortcut so that I didn't have to back out of 5 or 20 rows, depending on which of my issues I was worried about most. So I'm just going to go through here and be putting this. So with that said, though, I want to thank you all for coming. Thank all of our subscribers. I know that 14 isn't very many, but to me it is a lifetime to see them happening. So the more the merrier. So if you like this video, make sure you're subscribing to this video. If you watched it, subscribe, please. I would love to have you as part of our family. And if you like this video, if you give me a thumbs up, it would be great. It will help us out. If you don't, a thumbs down is fine, but please let us know why in the comments below. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know, and we'll be happy to answer your questions in the comments below. So with that said, if you want to be part of the Sunset Girl Creates family, we would love for you to subscribe below. And if you want to know every time I upload a video, which will be Monday or Tuesday through Friday, from now on until I let you guys know otherwise, you may have a surprise video here and there. If there's something I want to jump on and talk about, or just have a quick whip and chat, because I want to talk. So with that said, I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to wish you the happiest of Tuesdays, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.